Hello everyone, I'm Mike D'Angelo with That's Entertainment, and this is your retro review of Bonanza Bros. By Sega. In the year 1990, Sega was still cranking out arcade cabinet titles like they were going out of style, mostly because they were. Among these titles, they had a two-player heist simulator called Bonanza Bros., which really hasn't met a match in its particular genre yet. That isn't to say that it's the one and only game of its type, though. It draws on some familiar mechanics from a game called Keystone Capers, which was featured on the Atari 2600. Strangely enough, the story of this game, as well as the characters in some cases, changed as it made its way from Japan. In the land of the rising sun, two brothers, Robo and Mobo, are stealthily making their way into various locales to steal high-profile treasures and objects and making a hasty retreat. In North America, the brothers were working with authorities to help the police and guards train, or in some cases, recovering valuable goods. In certain PAL countries, even the names of the brothers were changed, to Mike and Spike. What seems like a relatively simple task is actually a little more complicated and requires finesse and patience. When ransacking the casinos, mansions, and mints, the anti-heroes must be on the lookout for hired goons, environmental traps, and have to clearly understand the layout of the building, or else suffer the consequences. A good deal of the game relies heavily on stealth. If an enemy sees you, he'll raise the alarm and go off on you for a while, shooting rubber bullets at you that cause you to drop all of your acquired treasure. If that's not bad enough, you need every piece of the treasure to get to your oversized getaway vehicle, a massive blimp that will airlift you off the roof. This requires you to go back into the lion's den and fight your way back to the thug who stopped you the first time. And that's not all. Sometimes being quick on your feet isn't good enough. Dogs will patrol with the guards, and their barks will alert every nearby goon. Even littered soda cans enlighten the authorities to your presence. Some enemies even wield riot gear, and can only be dispatched from behind. Also worthy of note, your enemies are never down for good. You wield the same annoying rubber bullets that they do. This is a training exercise after all. There isn't anything too spectacular to behold when playing Bonanza Bros. You're treated to the same retreaded music throughout all the levels, the sound effects are just as redundant, and the only synthesized voice you get says something that vaguely sounds like a curse, but have fun substituting other words instead. Not too much changes from level to level visually either. Most stages maintain the basic hotel feel, leaving you with no reason to question the layout, but also leaving things looking a little boring. Of course, this wasn't that bad for the time at all. The enemies eventually become a little stale too. The game remedies this by upping the numbers, suffocating you at various choke points throughout the missions. While Robo and Mobo seem to have struck a one-hit wonder with this game, they have made other appearances. Two spin-off titles hit Japan, with a puzzle flair and not as much action. A third arcade title also released sometime later, and all three were eventually ported to the Sega Saturn, but the West never saw any of these games. Robo and Mobo have been featured as playable characters in Sonic and Sega All-Star Racing, however. Not exactly on the cusp of cutting-edge technology, Bonanza Bros. Still managed to be somewhat enterprising with some of its features. Slamming open a door on a sleeping guard has never quite been so satisfying. You can find this game on several different compilations, or you can find it available for download. It's been ported to a great deal of other systems outside of the arcade, most notably the Sega Genesis.